We will never be this young again. Never. We can be stronger, wiser, kinder, better. Yeah, we getting better. How? Pain, change. And change hurts. It also feels good too. There's joy, peace in the middle of the storm, love. A whole lot of love. I should know. In the last quarter of 2017, I moved to Houston, Texas, baby. Population 2.3 million from Rochester, New York. Population 207,000. This move from small city to large, from east to Gulf Coast, was a hell of a change. But I had to make it work to fulfill my purpose. Too old is for everyone who thinks they're too old to start over. Everyone who has gripped their balls and done it anyway. Everyone who takes risk, everyone who was scared, everyone living their best lives, and everyone who is tired of letting life pass them by. Too old is for you. Today, we have Ricky Murphy on the show.
Hi.
Son, brother, comedian, all the things. Y'all know I love the written word. It is my life's work. So we'll start with a blog that I wrote. Then I'll kick it to you.
Okay.
And you can let me know if anything resonates, what sticks out. And then we'll get to the interview.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we knocking and bucking and ready to fight. I bet you I'ma throw them things so haters best to think twice. Yo, the internet is undefeated. How much time have you spent on videos, memes, and spoofs of the Montgomery Mollywop? I would start a day job on the most unproductive week in recent times. My first ever payroll gig outside of teaching. I'm excited to announce that I'm working in my favorite place on the entire planet. Can you guess where? I'm also excited to see that my artistry ain't stopped. On some real, it's top notch. Banke Wupe 2, word goddess. P.S. Today's opening quote comes from Nuck If You Buck. And to give them white folks credit, they definitely was buck. And to give us the victory, they definitely got nucked the up. This pick is from the last comedy cabaret. It perfectly fits today's subject. Click here to see a snippet from the show. Click here to meet the cast. Shout out to Monique. MD knows why. My day gig is at, drumroll please, the library. And without further ado, Mr. Murphy. Yes. Did any thoughts come to your mind from what you heard?
Definitely the Montgomery, Alabama thing was funny and hilarious. And what you said about artistry really stuck out to me. And lately, I've actually been pouring into that a lot. Just pouring into my artistry. It's something that feeds me. Yeah.
How have you been pouring into it?
Showing up for myself. I'm a fan of a message. Dear me, thank you
Hello.
for showing up.
Okay, put it in the work. Yes.
Really just going out and doing everything that needs to be done and getting it done.
Okay.
I know we had a conversation earlier about the Sunday competition and if I should go and do that, and knowing what comes, with when you're putting your energy and time into doing something or into your dreams, and I should be humble, but then again, I should still show up for myself.
Let's take a back step, because I want you to explain to the viewers where the Sunday competition is, what it is, and how has your career progressed from doing that competition?
So the Sunday competition is at Axelrad. It's a 1-minute showdown where comics, usually about 20 plus comics, come out and we compete in these 1-minute competitions. There's 2 rounds. Audience voted for you to advance to the second round and then to the final round. And what was it?
How has it helped you progress your comedy?
Like I said earlier, really just showing up for myself, not being afraid to get on stage, try out new material, what works, wins, what doesn't work. And, getting the footage back from those nights and being like, okay, what made people laugh? What was it? How was it that I said something? Was it a face that I made that really won people over? So really just sitting back, looking back and analyzing, we're both Aquarius. We both sit back and okay, let me just think
Break
and
this
pick
thing
it apart.
out. Yeah.
And really just doing that has really helped with just my creativity and doing comedy.
And how long have you been doing comedy?
I would say a little bit over a year and some change now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what brought that on? Is this something that you've always wanted to do?
I've always wanted to really harness the power of laughter, just knowing what it could do to people and how it could change someone's mood. I remember just growing up, being the class clown, getting in
Okay.
trouble for talking and making jokes when I was done with my test. Now, let me say I was a class clown, but I was passing them classes.
Hello.
Okay. But being when I was done with tests and just making people laugh out of boredom, growing up, at family reunions, being the one to make family members laugh just from being kooky or crazy or saying the first thing that came to my mind. And as I got older, it was kind of like, okay, let me harness this power in a good way and just put it out there for the masses. Yeah.
Okay. So take me back to the first time you stepped on stage.
The first time I stepped on stage. So my very, very first time was at, I think it was Bar 8.
Okay.
With,
Oh,
Ray,
bodega.
etc. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my first time. Nervous. Didn't know, what to expect. I went up there with just this mindset of like, if I don't get one laugh, I'm done. I'm not coming back out here again. That's
Okay.
it. I ended up going. I had some of my close friends support me, and I got a few laughs. So I was like, okay, it's not, a stadium or anything like that. It's just the beginning.
Right.
So I did that, and then Ray was like, hey, I think you should try Axelrad. And in my mind, being young, and I was just like, he doesn't want me here. I'm not funny. This is it. I'm done. So I think I hadn't come back for like 2 weeks or some change, and then I finally went to Axelrad. I did my first night at Axelrad, and it was like, okay, I get what he was saying.
Yeah.
Young-minded me was like, just naive, being crazy, thinking whatever.
Saw it as a rejection.
Yeah. And then when I got there and I was like, okay, I see what he's saying. This is more of my audience, more of my speed, more of my demographic. Yeah.
That's real. So may I ask, how many years young are you?
I am 27.
Okay.
I'll be 28 February 13th.
Okay, so how do you feel about being 27?
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my 20s. I've learned a lot in my 20s that I am honestly excited to take into my 30s, apply what I've learned in my 20s and take it into my 30s. I've made a lot of mistakes that before I wasn't happy about, but now I kind of welcome mistakes because I know with mistakes come lessons. And I'm the type of person where, okay, mistakes are gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I tell people you can let things in life be a lesson to you. Don't look at anything as like, why is this happening to me and this, that, and the third. Look at like, what can I learn from this and how can I apply it moving forward?
What's something a lesson that you wish you had learned earlier?
A lesson I wish. Believing in myself. Believing in myself has been one of the biggest things for me lately. Growing up, I really didn't have that support system. My mother is 67 years old. She's been a waitress for about 45 years out of her life. And
Lord have mercy.
waiting tables and she never at home. Growing up, my father was absent. He was here and there, but he, didn't have that growing up in
Papa
the home.
was a Rolling Stone.
Wherever he laid his hat was his home.
Okay.
And I really didn't have that support system, saying, hey, you can do anything you want to do, son. I didn't have that support system of my mother showing up to football games, baseball games, track and field.
Oh, because don't get it twisted. Ricky is an athlete.
Yeah, very much so. I didn't have her there in high school with me at, band competitions, speech and debate competitions. So very early on, I feel like I lost that support system. But then as I got older and actually when I started, doing stand-up comedy, it was one of those things like, no, you need to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, for everything that you want to come to fruition with the power of God. Amen. But yeah, believing in myself has been one of the biggest things for me.
I'm curious because even though you didn't have that support, you were very active, right? You mentioned sports, you mentioned speech, you mentioned debate, right? Yeah. So where did that motivation come from? How did you get involved in those things?
Not wanting to sit at home, also having brothers and sisters that were examples of what not to be.
Oh, not the cautionary tales.
Of what not to be. My brother did football, but, he kind of took that path of getting into drugs and, you know, following the street life and everything. And I was just like, nah, I didn't want that to be me. You know, I didn't want to be the one having cops showing up at the door like, hey, is this your son? You know, we've caught him doing this and that. So for me, it was like, okay, Ricky, what can I do to keep myself out of that situation?
Gotcha.
And though I'm very young, I will say that at a very early age, I think I was very wise to be able to recognize stuff like that and being like, okay, I don't want that. Let me do this.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it came from, me just diving into extracurricular activities at school.
Okay. And I would imagine then that your siblings are significantly older than you.
Yes, my brother, we're 9 years apart, and then my sister, I think she'll be 50 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it like having that big of an age gap and then having older parents? Because you're very old. You are,
Yeah.
when I booked you, I was like, I need to get the oldest, youngest mofo I know, right? How does that impact you?
Having older siblings, that gap, I definitely feel like I missed out on building that relationship with them, or like those relationships that siblings and stuff have when they grow up together.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I often sit and think about now is like, dang, I didn't really have that big brother, big sister, you know, camaraderie, things like that. With the older parents come wisdom. But my father is deceased, and like I said, my mother is 67 years old. So having older parents, for me, it's a lesson on its own. Like with my mother being, you know, up in age, she has a lot of health scares and stuff like that. So for me, again, it's like a picture sitting back and looking like, okay, you know, my mother has X, Y, and Z. I don't want that for me, so I have to take care of my
Is that
health.
why you're super health conscious?
Yes.
Okay.
Very health conscious. In the gym, sometimes 8 days straight. And
8 days.
8 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
Like, no days off.
And he added a day.
And it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. You know, I'm just like, Ricky, you need to take a rest day. But I'm like, oh, you know, I take a rest day, then I get sick. You know, but yeah, that's where having like older parents and older siblings really, really for me. Yeah.
Do you typically hang out with people your own age?
I do. I have one friend. My best friend is 30 years old. He's
Okay.
only like what?
He
3
a young old man too.
Yeah, young old man too. When I think about it, I don't have any friends younger than me. I'm probably the baby in my friend group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is something that you wish younger people knew? Or any advice you would give them?
Oh. And not to judge people and how they live their lives
Yeah.
and things like that. You're not missing anything in the club. It's the same music. It's the same dance. The drinks,
It's the same looks.
Same looks. Drinks gonna get more expensive every time you go. You're not missing out on anything. Sit back and just take the time to look at your life. Look at where you can improve. Look at, you know, what you're not happy about. I think that's an escape for a lot of people that are in the club, you know, 5 days a week, club going up on a Tuesday.
Well, we do have Dean's this Tuesday.
That is true. Come on, plug. You know, really just sitting back and analyzing your life. And again, no judgment to people that, you know, spend their life in the club. But for me, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'd rather be at home, rubbing my feet together, reading a good book, watching something that's going to help me mentally grow. Yeah.
What's something that you wish older people knew?
Something I wish older people knew. Times have changed. You have to be open to what's going on now and how to deal with people now. And I say that because my mother is so stuck in her ways. And
You used to
I
get
get
shots
it.
at the whole family. They can all get
but
it.
I get it. You know, just last week, I actually had to sit back and not really be so mad at my mother for not being there.
Okay.
And realizing this woman was born in 1957. Looking at what she's lived through, and how it has shaped her mind, and understanding like, okay, I get it. I get why you are how you are, and not wanting to change or budge,
Yeah.
but you have to. You have to, for the sake of your relationship with your child. You have to
Her
to
health.
Want to make, you
Yeah.
have to want to make that change.
Right.
Yeah.
So earlier you mentioned that, you know, the first time you stepped on stage, you're like, okay, this is not a stadium, but this is a start, right? So What do you see? What's the dream, the vision you have for yourself in regards to comedy, love, life, all the things?
For comedy, I feel like I told you this when we first met, is I want to sell out the NRG at least twice. And that's just something from my city. Dream is, of course, to just be like a breakout star in entertainment. And also to be that person on TV that I didn't see growing up, that I didn't see coming up. Being that I don't really want to say powerful black gay figure, but being that on TV, so little boys watching me can say I can do that too, because I don't think we're really represented on TV like that. It's in bits and pieces here and there, but I definitely think it could be more in a much positive light.
So there's a lot for us to unpack there, right? I want to start with, you say you want to do it for your city. What does Houston mean to you?
Houston is everything to me. Houston is where I got my stripes, got a lot of my war wounds just from growing up in A-Leaf.
SWAT?
Yeah, exactly. And really putting that back on the map. And I don't think we've had, I don't want to get this wrong, but I don't think we've had just like a big star besides like Beyonce. But
We're going to say Ali Sadiq and Mo Ahmed as well.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about them. But really just putting on for the city and showing where I come from, and yeah.
Okay. You mentioned you want to be, and you're going to be a powerful gay figure on television, right? What exactly do you mean by powerful?
When I say powerful, I mean not letting anyone stop me because of who I am or what I am. Being the one to break down those doors for those coming behind me that may feel like, they can't do it. Being a beacon of light for those people and saying like, hey, no, you can't do it. No matter where you come from, what you like, who you like, what you believe in, anything like that.
So one of the things I find interesting about your comedy, and this is why I know you are a breakout star, right, is because it's this intersectionality. So often we do see black male queerness, but it's the same type of box, right?
Right.
It's kind of very flamboyant, the like over the top, like right? But even as you were talking about sports and all these different things that make you up, I think that that's what makes you so dynamic, because you have those different boxes, but the blend of it is different than yeah. Can you speak to that a bit?
It's interesting to me. And no disrespect to those that are more
yeah, that's just not you.
That's just not me.
Right.
I respect those people, but for me, I feel like you can shine without that. And again, no disrespect to those people, but I feel like you can shine without that. And
do you think sometimes that they're playing that? And again, you've said it 1,000. This is no shade, but we're going to get into some real stuff, all right? Do you think sometimes all the extraness is meant to distract? That's why you're saying you can shine without it? What is...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I see a lot of people on TikTok and stuff like that, doing the wigs and all of that. For me, it's one of those things. It's funny, but I don't want to have to take on a character to be funny. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is
or to be loved.
Exactly. Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I, couldn't participate in football, basketball, baseball, do things like that. Yeah, I want to be able to do it without all of that.
This is why, and you made me very, very upset the last time you performed at Dean's, because you did not do my favorite joke of yours. And you know what my favorite joke is?
The puppy one?
The puppy one is good. The basketball one.
Oh, yeah.
That is the winner, my G. Oh, because, it's all these pieces of you, right? It's like, don't get it twisted. I'm hooping, right? And then when you start talking about it, I'm like, he look. I never seen you hoop, but I'm sold, like, right? And then the fears that people would have playing ball with a gay man, and then you play into that, like, that is brilliant. Yeah. That's the one, my G. I've said my piece 2-3 times. I just had to say it for the camera.
Bring that one back.
Okay.
Bring that one back.
So we like to end these with just asking you, what is something that you are not too old for?
Something you are not too old for. You're never too old to change. You're never too old to grow up. You're You're never too old to listen. Believe in yourself. Chase your dreams.
Okay, and what's something
Yeah.
that you are too old for?
Not believing in yourself. Not chasing your
We off
dreams.
that.
Not just standing up for what you believe in. Yeah, and you're never too old to put your best foot forward for something.
And we'll end with this final question because you mentioned your faith earlier. You said, I can do everything if I believe in myself and with the faith of God. Where does your faith come from, and how do you exercise your faith?
My faith comes from, I think you mentioned it earlier, pain, struggle. Even this year alone, I had to sit back and realize, you know what, something has been keeping me. When I didn't know how something was going to get paid, or I didn't know how I was going to get from X, Y to Z and this, that, and the other, I had to sit back and realize the man upstairs has been keeping me. And oftentimes I think when people go through stuff and we worry about things, we're worshiping the issue or the problem.
Worshiping the devil,
And
honestly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we need to just sit back and realize, like, hold on, something has been keeping me. And that's something, whatever you believe in, but for me, that man is upstairs. That has been keeping me and moving me along. So yeah, pain, struggle is where a lot of it comes from. And just life lessons is where a lot of it comes from as well.
Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. We wish you all the best. Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at ChillOutRicky, on TikTok _ChillOutRicky, and Facebook at Ricky Murphy.
Ricky Murphy, comedy, legacy, comedy gold, comedy royalty.
Short man, shortest man in the room, shortest person on earth.
On earth. We love y'all. God bless.
Peace.